I'm gonna cover everything you need to know about drums as a beginner in FL Studio. Whether you're producing hip hop, trap, pop, electronic music, R&B, doesn't really matter. Most of these principles are gonna serve for any type of genre. Let's get started. Alright, we're gonna start with the easiest one to do, which is like snare, ram, clap placements. And you're gonna have two typical spaces. Let's get into it. We have this right here. Okay. If you're in double time, which is anything above 100, really gonna start right here. This is what it loops like. Alright. If you're anywhere under 100 BPM, you probably want to start with these right here, which I just go to. It's pretty much the same thing, but you know, this way, since I'm working in a faster BPM, it'll work out a little better for us. Let's put that onto a beat. Let's turn this sample down a little bit. Alright, next we got the kick drum. This is usually the loudest part of your beat, along with the 808 anyway. And in most beats, you kind of want the 808 or the kick to start first. So we're going to start with the kick. Gonna make a quick little pattern. So after we place our kick here, we're kind of gonna create the bounce. So let's see. Like that. Alright, a quick little tip that you'll probably see a lot of producers do on YouTube is they'll go in here, and they do this a couple ways, but they'll click on the velocity and they'll raise the velocities up so it'll hit really hard. You could also go into the piano roll and do the same thing with this right here. Note velocity. You could go in and change the velocities that way too. You usually see people do that. Alright, now that we have that, let's talk about some percussion placement. So like shakers and stuff like that. With most percussions, I like to place them on this third beat. So hold on, I'm gonna show y'all. Let me go into special grade drum kit. Let's go down to perks. Let's put that on the little perk side. So usually anywhere like the third little thing, like right here in these little squares. So I might do something like, let's see what that sounds like. Alright, so we got a little, I mean, that's not really the most common place. I guess the most common place would probably be right here. Let's see what that sounds like. You'll hear that in a lot of beats. Anywhere where it's 1, 2, 3, you know. That's a nice little spot to kind of put a percussion, kind of come up with little bounces and stuff. And as far as open hats, I think I gotta drag one out here. Let's see. We're going to use this one and we're going to shorten it like so. And I like to kind of put these at the beginning of my pattern to kind of reset the bounce. There's a couple places you could put, you know, these two. You know, you could do something like that. Well, matter of fact, let's just do it. We're gonna, you know, change the velocities. and you know, just have fun with them. That's pretty much how I use them. I don't use them like crazy or nothing, just kind of accentuate certain stuff. Next, we're gonna move on to the regular hi-hat, and for it, I'm kind of lazy with it. I'm not gonna lie. You know, if you could get away with the two-step, do the two-step. You know, ways you could spice up the two-step. You could always change the velocity depending on the beat. I mean, this is kind of chill, kind of mellow, so I mean, you could get away with a little bit more. You could, you know, that's an easy way to add bounces, just by, you know, messing with the velocities. Of course, going on the inside of your piano roll. Another thing I like to do is kind of mess with the thirds grid. You can get to that by doing this. Take that, just raise that up like so. A nice place to kind of have little rolls and stuff is like right before the clap or snare, or right after. Like this is kind of right after. I mean, you could go closer. You see what I mean? So it just kind of rolls into it, but you know, kind of find what works for you. You could kind of get away with more stuff at the end of the beat, like whatever these four are. Usually a good little place to have your bounce set at is around either the second or this part or the beginning, you know, the beginning bar. But you know, it kind of comes with practice, I'm not gonna lie. You kind of get the gist. That's how you do rolls. Of course, you want to kind of play in between these. You get different bounces from different snap grids. Another way you could add bounce is by you know, being lazy again. You know, we gonna take the same sound, we cloned it, and instead of every two-step, we gonna go to every four-step. And we're gonna drop this down a couple semitones, just so. Make it sound like we did more than we actually did. Turn it down a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm gonna cut these and I'm gonna put them on this for now. And something else you could do that I didn't say earlier. Sometimes you could take stuff off of, you know, stuff that you have stuff hitting on. So let's see. You're gonna see what kind of bounce. Alright, so we just took stuff out. See, we got the snare hitting here. Got the snare hitting here. Also, we got these perks. So I don't know. I'm just kind of taking out stuff. It's stuff in those spots. So we just gonna see what it sounds like. So now that we've done that, let's get into everybody's favorite part, which is the 808s. So we're gonna start. This is my 808. First thing you want to see if it's in key. So you can do that by right clicking on the waveform, go to edit and pitch corrector. You see it says it's in C. If it's anything else, you'd pretty much just go to the wrench tool. If it said E, you'd find E on here and just click it like so. Another thing you want to do is right click on this and go to cut itself. Another way you could do it, same thing with the little wrench. You see it's got group, cut by, it's got 1-1. And basically what that's gonna keep it from doing is bleeding on top of each other. Let's see, turn these up. I just kind of show you what it would sound like. Let's make these the right length first. Alright, so let's see. Let's turn this off. So you see how that sounds. It just kind of bleeds on top of each other. Doesn't sound good. You know, so anytime the note hits, it starts over. It's basically what it's doing. And another way to do that you see, if you want way more control, is by doing this. Turn the hold all the way up, turn everything else down, and it'll play the note as long as the note is. That's another good little tip. You could go here and you have a boost if your 808 doesn't hit as hard as you want it to. You know, kind of be careful with that though. You could also use the EQ. Let's figure out what key this sample is in. And in my opinion, the higher you start your 808 pattern, you could hear it better. Hear if it's in key. I like that. Oh, that's cool. Got a nice little bounce. Alright. And as far as mixing these drums, I guess the pattern that you would want to go, you would want your kick to be the loudest thing. We're gonna mute this. It wasn't really about the melody, it was really about the drums, so I usually have my kicks around -3. Then the second loudest thing to me would be my 808, which I'm gonna put that like -6. We're gonna go to the EQ. And we're actually going to take some of the low end out, about 20 hertz, or at 20 hertz. So you can barely even tell that it took it out, to be honest, but it's there. Because it's just taking out like muddy stuff. Okay. With the hi-hats, I'm gonna turn those down to like 12. Anything after that be probably like 15 to 18, -15 to 18, except the snare. Snare is gonna be close to where the 808 is, so I do it like 9. You know. And after that, you can make a drum bus, or on the master. You know, I got guide particle on here. I just prefer to use guide particle, but before that I was using the Fruity Soft Clipper. You could use the limiter too, Fruity Limiter. I'm gonna use the Fruity Soft Clipper. And I'd kind of advise not to move the post. But, you know, let's say it's still not hitting how you want it to. You could always pick, let's see, where's Fruity Balance at? Matter of fact, we just gonna go to the EQ, and you could use this over here to drive more into, that's it. I mean, you could definitely, you know, add your own flavor to this. You could always add reverbs, and you know, this is just pretty much, you know, just something, you know, something that you might like, something you might not like, but you know, that's pretty much in a nutshell. These are on the grid, of course. You know, you can go in and you can slide these however you want. So, you know, and that's really it. I tried to keep it super simple so you can see how much of an impact a proper drum bounce could have on your music. But don't forget to experiment and have some fun with it, and listen to other music, you know, not just your comfort genre, I guess. But, you know, listen to some other stuff. Maybe you might get some ideas for some different drum bounces. All right, peace. Catch me in the next one.